What's going on, everyone? Happy Saturday to everyone. Hopefully, everyone is doing well and having a great weekend so far. It is time now for the Saturday edition of the Climate Update for Saturday, February 3rd, 2024. If you're new to the channel, this is where we do the daily climate update. We talk about weather records around the world and in the United States. And of course, we do give the weather forecast for the United States and talk about the long range forecast as well. So if you like this type of content, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below. And of course, share this with anyone you think would enjoy seeing this content. Starting off today, we do have an earthquake that occurred last night in central Oklahoma. It happened 8 kilometers northwest of Prague, Oklahoma, and it was 5.1 magnitude. If you felt any of this earthquake, maybe things were shaking where you were, let us know down below. I'm curious to know. Taking a look at the national satellite picture, you can see here the sun has finally come out in the eastern states, portions of the mid-Atlantic. There are still some clouds in New England from a very weak system, but for the most part the sun has returned. Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, West Virginia, even Ohio, you're starting to break out in the sun at this time, though be it the sun's now about to set. This strung out system continues from the Gulf Coast region on up into the plains and through the northwest, and you can see our next system is starting to enter the picture in California. We will talk about that in just a moment. Taking a look now in the Pacific Northwest, you can see here there is some activity working its way into portions of Alaska at this time. There is another system for you. And taking a look at the national radar picture, you can see the heaviest of the rain in the central portion of the country is down by the Gulf Coast region, where New Orleans, you're getting some heavy rain right now. Houston, you're starting to dry out. There's still a couple showers back to your west, but I don't expect much to happen with that. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Little Rock, Arkansas, you're all seeing some rain activity as well, and this does string its way on up through Nebraska, and you can see there is some precipitation that is ongoing in the Rockies as well, where there are winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories, and you can see on the west coast, which let's pull over to the national hazards map. You can see there's a wide array of warnings up for you. Heavy rainfall, mountain snows, maybe 3 to 5 feet of snow into higher elevations, isolated 6 feet. High winds, gusts 60 to 75 miles per hour is all coming your way. And of course, flooding. We're going to talk about the flooding threat in just a moment. Still some fog ongoing in northwest Iowa, southwest Minnesota, across much of South Dakota, and much of Nebraska at this time. And there are some high wind warnings up for western Texas, where there could be gusts as high as 50 to 60 miles per hour. All right, taking a look now at the Climate Prediction Center, you can see days 1 through 7 precipitation. Let's start with the southeast first. You can see here there continues to be some chances for heavier precipitation with this system that is gradually moving east. It's eventually going to transfer its energy to a coastal system, and right along the immediate coast of South Carolina and Georgia, there's a small strip where there could be 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. Just east of New Orleans, upwards of an inch to maybe even 2 inches of rainfall is possible for you. Central Florida, not much precipitation, but southern Florida, where you actually do also have a threat of severe weather tomorrow, there could be anywhere from an inch to an inch and a half of precipitation. Alabama, we're also seeing heavier precipitation for you. On the west coast, this is our biggest threat of flooding. Widespread 3 to 5 inches of precipitation, where there's areas where there's like mountain ranges and there's upsloping ongoing. As high as 6 to 10 inches of rainfall are possible. Just outside of LA or within Los Angeles area, you really could get waffled with rainfall, especially in the mountains just to your north. You could see a ton of rainfall. Let's take a look at the excessive precipitation outlook. Slight risk for the Bay Area today, and there's also a slight risk down across New Orleans. When we advance this to day 2, check this out. This doesn't happen very often. There is now, for portions of Southern California, not extreme Southern California, but near Los Angeles, yes, a high risk of excessive rainfall on the day 2 outlook. Very rare that that would ever happen. It has happened, and even surrounding that, along the coastal regions, right on up through to the Bay Area. Moderate risk. You're going to be talking about a very wet, rainy, and windy Sunday. The threat for flooding is very great tomorrow, and that even continues into Monday. There is a marginal risk of excessive rainfall across southwest Florida and across portions of the Florida Panhandle, Georgia, South Carolina, and southeast Alabama. Day 3, this is Monday now. There's already a moderate risk up for Southern California. San Diego, this includes you. So you do want to pay attention because this fetch of moisture is going to be in place for several days. I am very concerned that this is going to be an extreme flooding event, a historical flooding event for California. Let's take a look at the Storm Prediction Center. First off, let's go back to day 1. You can see there's no more threat of severe weather for today. However, there is a threat tomorrow. There's a marginal risk that goes up into northern Florida. And then there's a slight risk for southern Florida. And that slight risk area I'm a little bit interested in because there's indications there could be a squall line that goes through southern Florida now. You can see there is also a marginal risk along the California coast. We'll have to watch. There could potentially be a few severe storms with this system, maybe even an isolated tornado, and there could also be an isolated tornado tomorrow in Florida as well. Wind would be the greatest threat down in southern Florida, probably more so than anywhere else in the state, especially if that squall line gets going. Hail in Florida, just central Florida, probably from Orlando on northward up to about Jacksonville, Tampa Bay. Small risk of hail for you as well. Alright, let's take a look at the 18Z HRRR model. And I'm going to show you multiple things here. First, let's advance this. You can see as we get into this evening, the heavier rainfall is going to start to exit Louisiana, though there could still be some showers that linger into the night. But take a look at this. We're going to make our first stop here in the southeast. I want you to see this. Look at the squall line that sets up on HRRR model. Pretty much blows right through southern Florida and does go right through Miami. That is interesting. That could cause some power outages, could cause some damaging wind. Would not surprise me to see a severe thunderstorm watch tomorrow morning. Also take a look. You do see some individual cells tomorrow afternoon in Northern California. Keep an eye on that. Any one of them with this developing low in the position that it's in and the southwest flow and the southern flow, there could be the potential for an isolated tornado with that. And of course, if you get any broken cells ahead of this squall line, that could also have a tornado threat as well. Now, as we advance this, look what happens here. Right along the Georgia coast and South Carolina coast, you can see an area of heavy rain. It's not all that wide. It's very localized deal, but look what happens here. An area of very heavy rain sets up, and look at the precipitation amounts that are being shown from the HRRR, especially in South Carolina, but Georgia too. 1 to 3 inches of rain for you in Georgia, right along the coast. But look what happens not far from Charleston, South Carolina, or just south of Charleston. Yeah, look at that. You're talking about anywhere from 3 to 5 plus inches of rainfall, which could cause flooding and some flooding concerns. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. There will also be an onshore flow with that area of low pressure. The heaviest rainfall for you will be late Sunday night into sometime during the Monday time frame. All right, let's change views here. We have to go out to the west coast now because this is very important. You can see on the west coast, let's back this up. See on the west coast, the HRRR model does have the heavy rainfall that comes in for northern and central Californias, and then eventually later in the day tomorrow, look what happens in Southern California. It does get going. LA, you're dealing with very heavy rainfall tomorrow evening, and you can see here, it does kind of get broken up with some thunderstorm activity. That's where we have to concern ourselves for the potential for a few isolated tornadoes. Would not surprise me if that marginal risk of severe weather gets upgraded to a slight risk tomorrow, just because of the way this is setting up. Let's now take a look at the latest NAM model, which goes out 84 hours, and you can see here on the NAM, this is the 18Z run, you can see the rainfall does come in for much of central California and eventually northern California as well. And you can see as we head into the later part of tomorrow, very heavy rainfall sets up in Southern California. Basically, atmospheric river, fire hose of moisture, and look at this. It stalls over this area for a very long period of time through all day Monday and even into Tuesday. Look at this. Tuesday night, it is still raining in Southern California. How much rainfall is being shown on the NAM? Check this out. The NAM is showing that there will be a pocket down here of over 6 to 8 inches of rainfall. It's very impressive. The rest of the state, it's showing widespread 2 to 4 inches with localized 4 plus, maybe 5 inches of rainfall. You can see up here by the Bay Area. 3 to 4 inches of rainfall for you. Just south of you, you can see there is another area with isolated 5+ inches of rain. Now let's take a look at the GFS, and we'll take a look at the longer range and see what that is showing for today. You can see here's our systems on the west coast. Here's what happens in the southeast. That southeast system will exit into east coast, generally east of the Mississippi. It is going to be quiet through much of next week up until about Thursday, and then there will be a system that comes through the northern plains. It'll be kind of like a cold front, but ahead of that, it is going to get very warm. 60s are going to actually occur anywhere from Philadelphia on southwestward. Yes, well above average temperatures. Again, it's not going to feel much like winter. If you want to see any snow, you have to go up to the northern plains or to the Rocky Mountains, where, look at this, yet another system comes on shore Thursday afternoon. Behind that, it may start to get quieter. You can see there's another one for Southern California, but it's not all that strong at this point. And you can see here, as we head into next weekend, just a couple showers across the Great Lakes, nothing major, and then it does clear out for Saturday. And then as we head into the following weekend, to Monday, you can see maybe some colder air will try to come down in the northeast, but I'm not all that impressed with it because look at the previous run. Previous runs showed different. So, as you can see, it is changing on each and every run, but we'll have to see if it actually pans out. Let's take a look at the Climate Prediction Center to see what they're saying now. 6 to 10 days, well above average in the east. New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Georgia, Tennessee, the Great Lakes region, you name it, in the east, it is going to be well above average. With below average in the west, that's because of all the storminess. Taking a look at the precipitation amount, 6 to 10 day average, just slightly above average across much of the country. Nothing terribly impressive. And then when we look at 8 to 14 days, just slightly above average in the northeast, and near normal across much of the mid-south and the southeast, with slightly below average in the Four Corners region and slightly above average temperatures on the west coast. 8 to 14 day precipitation, quiet, not going to be an active pattern for many. Below average in the west coast, below average in the central regions and Great Lakes, near normal in the northeast, near normal down along the I-95 corridor until you get to about Florida. Slightly above average for you, and well above average for southern portions of Texas, where there could be an active setup that sets up, and that's the same setup that could provide some showery activity, maybe even some thunderstorm activity for Florida. Alrighty, folks, that does it for today's climate update. If you're in California, be prepared tomorrow for flooding, rainfall. If you're in southern Florida, be prepared. You're going to see the potential for some severe thunderstorms midday tomorrow, where that could feature some damaging wind gusts and maybe an isolated tornado. Everyone else, you are treated to some nice weather this weekend, especially in the northeast where the sun has not come out all that much. You're going to be in the sun for the next several days with well above average temperatures into next week. Alright, we'll have another update again tomorrow. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. And of course, share this with anyone you think would like to see this. And of course, leave a comment if you have anything to say down below, and I will answer your question or submit a reply. I'll see you all again next time. Until I see you again next time, enjoy the weather wherever you are. Thanks for watching.